So, welcome back to another episode of the Wild Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Finnig, and I'm thrilled you're here with me. Today, we're going to dive into some practical strategies to nourish your mind and body with my dear friend and health coach, Rita Avellar. If you're like me, you're always looking for ways to nourish your mind, body, and spirit and get back to balance. But with all the information we're bombarded with every day, with how to eat, what exercise we should be doing, and so on, it can get really muddy and confusing. So I'm excited to have my guest, Rita Avellar, here today to get down to business and make feeling good simple and easy. Rita is a health coach certified with the International Association for Health Coaches and completed her training with INN, which is the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. She's helped more than 300 women around the world with her 10-day detox challenge, and some of her private clients have completely changed their lives and were able to completely eliminate the need for prescription medications, relying on a healthy diet and mind-body strategies to care for their health. So today, Rita will share 5 practical and easy strategies you can implement right away to begin nourishing your mind and body and get on your way to feeling good again. For all of you who are commuting right now or taking me along on your walk, or if you're working out, don't worry because there will be links to Rita's website at alyssafinnig.com/podcast, where you can download a free gift from her with some information and even more ways to nourish your body and mind. Plus, she has lots of incredible, delicious, and easy recipes on there too. I know because I've tried some of them, and her Brazilian cheese bread and her quiche are to die for. Before I dive in, this episode is sponsored by our upcoming Wild Wisdom Retreat in Mexico this November. If you're ready to connect with the wisdom of your heart and the natural rhythms of nature, especially the ocean and horses, join me and Rita November 7th through 12th for a yoga and meditation retreat exclusively for women on the Baja Peninsula of Mexico. Go to alyssafinnig.com/Mexico to learn more and sign up. I won't make you wait any longer. Let's go ahead and dive in. So Rita, thank you very much for being on today. I'm excited to have you here. I know as a child growing up in Brazil, because that's important, Rita's Brazilian. She's beautiful Brazilian. I know you suffered with pneumonia, allergies, and a poor immune system. Tell me about how that experience led you to discover holistic practices and lead you where you are today.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. We are friends and we work together, so I think it's going to be a really good conversation between friends.
Yeah.
And like you said, with practical tips, because in my practice and in my life, I'm all about being practical, which is something really interesting because even my clients like, oh, really? You think it's so easy? You think it's so, but it is. If you go and try to make things so difficult, we just don't start it. And if you really want to implement healthy habits into your life, you need to make it easier. Otherwise, you just give up.
Exactly.
If you have a lot of steps, to do something that it's just easy, you don't do it. So that's my mojo, like do something simple, be simple as much as possible.
Great.
So I'm from Brazil, and as the audience, we can call us audience?
Yes, our audience or our listeners.
No, listeners.
Yes.
As your listeners can listen to my accent. I have a little accent. So I'm from Rio. Rio de Janeiro is a beautiful city, and I was born there. And during my childhood, starting when I was 7 years old, I had 9 pneumonias.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, 9.
Yeah, 9. It was one after another. I had one, and then when I was about to be better and healed, another one came. And the same, it was going like that. And during that time, my parents, they couldn't figure out what is happening. Since the beginning, I was treating with a homeopathic doctor because my parents, they were hippies.
We know, we've had conversations about this.
They were hippies. And so my doctor was a homeopathic doctor. He was great. And actually, he was my doctor for a long time. But anyway, so I was treating with homeopathic. But it reached to a point that he said, I just can't not, continue doing this homeopathic treatment. We have to go to antibiotics because
Sure.
it's something going on, and then they couldn't figure it out. And then later they figured out something with my lungs, and I can't even explain. I have even asked my mom what is the details about it, but it was something with my lungs that it wasn't. Every time that I heal any kind of cold that I catch, it turns to pneumonia like immediately.
Okay.
So I had to take antibiotics, and of course, during that time, I didn't have the knowledge, and my parents didn't have the knowledge that that amount of antibiotics would lead me to other problems and other issues later in life as a teenager and later in life as an adult. So, but the thing is, since little girl, I was this girl that I was the sick girl. I call as the girl lives in the bubble. Everything, happened to me. So like in my family, I remember going to vacation time in a state in Brazil we call it Minas Gerais, which is kind of a Indiana state, like with farms and
Sure.
things like that. So I used to go there, spend the time there, and I remember it is like colder than Rio, and my grandma there was like, "Don't go outside, put your coat." And then I saw all the cousins, everybody like going outside and doing stuff without like sweater. And I was the only one like, put the sweater on, because, I was the sick girl. So I was all the time listening to that, like, you're sick. You can be sick. Take care of yourself all the time. And there's a little story when the first time I had my first science class at my school, there was one question and asking, "Are you healthy?" And I remember that I said no. I just wrote like no.
Because you were told you were sick all the time, and you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mom came and she saw that and she's like, "No, you're healthy." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not healthy." So when I look pictures when I was young, I looked like a zombie. I was really like white. I looked like a sick girl, skinny. So during my childhood, it was really hard for me.
Sure.
And of course, I developed other things, and especially allergies. So I was allergic to anything you can imagine. So when I turned to my teenager time, when I became a teenager, I started like realizing there was something that the power of healing was inside of me. And that happened because it's funny, but I was reading those magazines, like 17 magazine.
Yes,
in
I
Rio.
read those too. Yeah. I get it.
And I was reading and then talking about like vitamins and some special foods you can eat. That was during the 80s. And I was like, in the 80s and 90s, yeah. And I was like, this is interesting. I can eat something and feel better. I can eat something and heal whatever I'm having. It was like a really basic thought, not like something so deep, but I thought that was so interesting, like, wow.
Yeah, but I think that's what it happens is that there's one little thing and you'll be like, that's profound, and it totally gets you on that path.
Yeah.
And even from 17 magazine, which is so surprising.
Yeah.
But I'm glad. That's wonderful.
I don't know about today's, but during the times they had really good content.
They had really good content. Good.
But anyway, so I thought it was so interesting. But during the time we didn't have internet. So we just had libraries and, books and magazines. So I was so curious, and I talked to my mom about it, like, I read this somewhere. I'm really interested. And then she started giving me some books. There's she's really like old school, not old school, but she's a nutritionist, but also not only a nutrition, but she's really knowledgeable in nutrition and natural healing, especially natural healing, from Brazil. And she started giving me some of her books. Her books, they are about food, they're about natural healing, but also the way she writes is a way of like talking, like directed to you, like through stories of her own stories.
Oh, so these were books she wrote.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Not my mom.
No.
The nutritionist.
The nutritionist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then later on, I found out that she also was my family's friend, but I didn't know during that time. But my mom started giving me her books. And it was really fun to read because it wasn't something like science or just talking about food. It was talking about life,
sure,
and wellness, and this holistic view of health.
Okay.
So through her books, I was like, it was mind blowing. And I was around was 12, 13 years old. Her name is Sonia Hisch.
Okay.
It's actually another German last name.
Yes, yeah. Just like mine.
Yeah. So I was reading her books. She had like tons of books, and actually one just for women, which is amazing. So I was reading her books. I was trying her recipes, and I was so impressed with how much we can do by ourselves. So I started thinking about my diet. I was thinking about the way I eat and the way my relationship with food, like emotionally, because something that she always talk about it, how it was important to have the time to eat and chew and not having any distraction like TV or anything. Again, it seems like really basic stuff, but for me, that time it was like, wow, nobody talked about that.
Well, and I think, even not just back then, but now it is basic, but nobody talks about it. My parents also didn't know the effects of antibiotics. They didn't put sunscreen on me, those kind of, because they didn't know. My mom talks about, we fed you chicken nuggets and KFC and stuff like that. And it's like, because that's what we were raised on. We didn't know. And I've actually, and this is probably the same for you, the more that I've learned for myself, I've been able to share that knowledge with my parents, not force it on them, but they start to be able to recognize and look at things like you and I have talked about, like read through the packaging, and all the advertising and get your meat from more of a local supplier. And because it's just a different world now. And so we'll talk about that too. Yeah. But yeah, our parents just didn't know.
Yeah.
And so it's all education. So it's great that you found that.
Yeah. And she also talks about the way you cook the food, giving out the love as possible. She always talked about that. So it was much more than just food and nutrition.
Well, and by working with clients, and me too, I see it all the time, that our relationship with food is emotional based. It's much more than, I need these macronutrients or I need this vitamin and mineral. I mean, that's obviously a real thing, but it is usually we have such a relationship. And some of that is like, I still love oatmeal cream pies and turkey sandwiches because that reminds me of growing up. Mm-hmm. And when I was in the hospital with meningitis and got sick, I didn't eat because I was sick. And that's what I wanted when I started eating again, because it was comfort food. It reminded me of my grandfather and growing up. Yeah. They're not the worst things in the world or anything, but it's like there's relationships and there's comfort, and that's sometimes those are the harder things to break.
And of course my parents they were hippies, and we had a really good diet at home. We eat well, we eat healthy. So we were kind of like different comparing to other families during that time, but we weren't like anything radical or wow, we just eat that, or just eat plants or something.
Yeah.
No, we,
Nobody else ate plants.
yeah,
I mean, it's Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody thinks you guys just eat
Yeah.
tons of meat.
Yeah.
Which I know is not true.
Yeah. But anyway, but it was mind blowing. And then it was the first contact I have with nutrition and, holistic health and etc. So, and then right after that, my mom, she gave me a book that I was going to bring here to show you.
Ah.
But then I was like, it's a podcast. I can't show anyone, so that's okay.
Well, you can show it to me next time we have lunch or something.
It's really interesting. My mom gave me a book she bought during the 70s. Doesn't have the cover anymore. It's like a thick book like that, like, I don't know how many pages, like 500, I don't know. She gave me that book. She bought that book. The name is like something, if I translate it, would be something, the yoga food.
The yoga food or something
Yeah,
like that. Okay.
something like that.
Okay. But obviously it's in Portuguese.
It's in Portuguese,
Okay.
yeah. But it's something like that. It has food and has yoga in the title, so it's something like that. So that book, it had like tons and tons of recipes, which is really funny because some of the recipes, they were like not healthy at all. But for that time when the book was written, the book actually was written during the 50s.
Oh, okay.
So,
oh, wow, that's interesting.
yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, but the first part of the book was about talking about they call it like some healing process, like healing your stomach, the healing stomach diet, the healing whatever diet, like just apples, or just, there's some things like that, water with lemon, talking about your digestive system, like 20 tips on how to change your diet, like some really awesome material and content about, well-being and healthy life, some exercise, some breathing techniques, some Ayurveda medicine mix.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy because I tried to find something about the writer.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a mystery. Nobody knows.
A lot of that history is kind of just,
yeah. It's a
I mean,
weird book.
especially in the 50s. Like that was really a strange thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that book, I have to show you so you can understand. It's a big book, and it became like my Bible.
Yeah.
I carry it everywhere. I was so fascinated with the book, and it has, I don't know how many. I never counted, but I can guess like 300 recipes. It's crazy. There's like healthy breads and like I said, there's something that's not so healthy, but it's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you can imagine in menus, menus for kids, menus for whatever. It's really funny. It's a funny book.
Wow, that's a lot of knowledge.
I know.
It dropped into a book.
Yeah. So I was on my 14, 15. So I was crazy about this book. So everything was about this book and the other books from Sonia Hish. So I was reading out this book. I was really interested, and I was like, I'm gonna be a nutritionist. I knew for sure I was going to do this for my life. And then something came, that a second moment that completely changed my life when it comes to health and this path that I am, my journey. And when I was 17, I came to US as an exchange student. High school, living with a friend. Her mom was here doing like something really high that I forgot, in Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to South Bend, and I was with my friend there, with her mom, her brothers. And then when I came here, it was exactly the time that I had a problem, like really huge problem with my skin, acne, like really bad acne, like bad. Mm-hmm. If I try to remember what happened during the time, I don't know. I think it was like hormones. I think it was something going on. So I came to US, and I was with this acne problem. And the first thing that I noticed here, it was my first time here. Mm-hmm. I knew about like fast food and all these things, but I didn't know it was craziness. You can find fast food anywhere, anytime, and for an expensive price. I was so in shock. And I think I was more in shock because I was already reading about nutrition, and I was already into that.
So you're very aware.
I was very aware. And actually, I forgot something. Before coming here to as an exchange student, I went to Disney.
Ah.
So I went Disney with my siblings, and for like a month before coming to US to study for 1 year. And I was already in shock during the, Disney parks. I remember that so much that we had to eat fast food every day.
Yeah, there's no other options, right?
And I was in a group with like Brazilians tour to Disney. We had like 30 people, and then everybody was so happy eating fast food. They were happy, and I was the only one that complained. And I remember that every like fast food place in Disney, you could go and choose, or you could get French fries or grapes. I always remember that. And I always asked for grapes. I was like, at least it's not, fast food again, because I'm already eating fast food. Mm-hmm. So, and during that time, I didn't eat meat. I stopped eating red meat when I was 12.
Okay.
Because I was reading all about it, and I thought I didn't digest well. Sure. Like, I'm not going to eat. So I was just eating fish and chicken during that time. So it was already hard for me too.
Yeah.
So I was so when I came here as an exchange student, I already knew about this fast food crazy stuff. But when I came here, I was even more shocked because one thing was going to Disneyland as vacation time, okay, fast food. Another thing is fast food as an everyday thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of the girls that studied with me, American. I remember that I asked her, I was curious, like, what do you eat for breakfast? And then she, before going to school, she stopped at a gas station and buy like some chips and pop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And maybe some muffin. Mm-hmm. That was her breakfast. And then during school, I always remember she used to go to some like McDonald's or whatever, fast food. And then after she told me I didn't go back. And then my family and we go to another fast food to eat. And I was so in shock. And I remember that she said that she always removed the pickles from, the sandwich. Uh-huh. So like,
so you had nothing.
And I was so in shock.
Yeah.
And in my house, I was with Brazilians, and my friend's mom, she wasn't like, she didn't like fast food and anything. She cooked well. But also I had the freedom to buy my own food. And since I was here in the US by myself, kind of, because I wasn't with my parents.
Sure.
And in Brazil, it's really common to have maid. So in Brazil, everybody has maids.
Maid.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Somebody to cook for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's typical of South America,
Yeah.
Central and South America. I would like someone to cook and clean my house all the time.
Yeah.
I'd totally be fine with South American ways.
Some things changed a little bit in Brazil.
Sure.
Regarding to that's another subject. But anyway, but during that time I was there, I had a maid, and she made my food, everything.
Sure.
So it was my first time here that was finally like, I have to cook. Because in Brazil, I've tried some of the recipes by myself, but it was just trying, not really eating all the food I was making. So here I could even like try and make my own food. And then I decided to start making my own food. I decided to buy my own food to take to school. Mm-hmm. Because I was like, I'm not going to eat this food, and I'm not going during the break time with my friends that used to go to McDonald's and everything. Sure. I'm not going with them. So I remember during the time, which was healthy again, like nowadays I know it's not healthy, super healthy what I ate during
but
the time.
But it was better than fast food.
But it was better than
and it helped you from not being sick as a teenager.
Yeah. So I remember like taking like yogurt and some granola, from school. And I remember people, looking at me like, you are weird. I always remember like, you are really weird. And I was like, I don't care.
Okay. I'm glad you didn't care. I mean, so it's hard to stand out from the crowd, especially as a child and a teenager and everything. That could be really challenging.
Yeah.
But that is what paved your path to where you are today.
And I remember that I had also these kind of a diary journal that I was doing during the time I was here. And I remember like things that I think is so American. I made like a list.
Yes.
And one of the things were orange juice, less than 1% natural juice.
Oh, yes.
I always remember that.
Yes. Well, you can still go to the grocery store. And I taught my mom, I'm like, read the juice, like the side of the juice. If it says 1% juice, or if it does not say 100%, do not buy it. Or, make your own. Like I finally bought a juicer and make my own. But it's just like, why does that even exist on the shelf?
Yeah. And I remember also that my friend's mom, who I was living with, she took me to like a natural store. There was a natural store in South Bend that I really want to know the name. I have to ask her because that was like more than 20 years ago. So I remember going to the natural store, and I was like, I'm in heaven, because, with all this crazy fast food and this big grocery store that for me was big, because in Brazil we didn't have those big grocery stores during that time. So everything was so mind-blowing. And because of that, I started studying more by my own. Again, we didn't have internet.
Sure.
It was the beginning of internet. So I started studying by my own, and I started creating my own diet to clean my skin. It was my first goal.
Of course.
I did, mission accomplished. My skin was amazing.
Great.
Yeah. And I was like, I can do that. So I decided I'm going to be a nutritionist. So I can do that to my own body. I can do it to other people. So I continue with that idea. I went back to Brazil, finished school, and decided to study fashion.
Well, life leads us down different paths. Yes. So I'm glad you told your story, because there are a lot of people who, whether it's being an adult and you're suffering, or being a sick child, and then a teenager, you don't know what to do. You try, you at least had some homeopathic and integrative physicians to help, but still they were at a loss. But in the Western medical model, which for everyone out there, like I, as a yoga therapist, I integrate Eastern and Western. I work a lot with healthcare professionals. So please never take it that I'm dismissing Western medicine, but I like to look at the whole picture. And a lot of people who come to both of us will go through the Western medical model and just be at a loss and even sicker. Or they're on all this medication, or they're diagnosed with all of these things that are really unexplainable. And many physicians, unless they go study nutrition, like Dr. Andrew Weil has a program for physicians, and it's amazing. And I know some physicians who refer to me that have been through that program because they now have their eyes open. Like they're not trained in nutrition.
Yeah.
And so unless they seek it out themselves or happen to have that experience, and so then they don't know to recommend that. It's purely an educational thing.
Yeah.
Just like with our parents, and purely they weren't educated. So before we move on to your strategies, which I want to share with the audience, I will tell you two different things that made me think while you were telling your story. So when I was in Spain, it was actually a Polish guy told me, "What's so great about America? I just heard you could just eat all the fast food you wanted." That was his impression.
Yeah.
He'd never been there, but a friend told him that was the only thing. And, where we're like land of the free, come here, blah, blah, blah.
Fast food.
And fast food. And I was like, wow, that's the perception? That's terrible. And I was in my 20s then when somebody told me that. And then my father told me, so I had kind of same upbringing, except my parents weren't really hippies. Like they call me a hippie, which we have nothing against hippies. We love, where it's just us
Yeah.
joking. But but my dad would always put an apple in my lunch, and I did take my lunch most of the time, except maybe into high school. We had hot lunches, which they're called here, and so he would always say, "Well, you better eat your apple. I will know if you don't eat your apple." And I was in elementary school when he did this, I believe. And I ate my apple every day because I was going to get in trouble. I had no idea how he knew, but I knew he knew because, he's your father. And then when I got older, I was like, you didn't know at all. So that was my dad's trick. So for every listener out there, if you want a trick, just, put something healthy.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And just tell them you'll know if they don't eat it. Because it's super important. Because I watch my niece. She was raised with mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. And it's the common, we're so busy, especially in the US, but just in the Western world in general. We're so busy that my family knows, and they cook, like, we cooked a lot growing up. We also had fast food, but my niece didn't want to eat other things because you're a child and you just want to do what you want to do. And they're tired because they're working full time. And so my parents and my sister working full time, and just get home, and you don't want to fight with them, and you don't want to argue. And so then that's sort of how it happens, is they just get what they want. And so now they're only eating chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. Yeah. I mean, this is my niece at 14. And so I told her, I said, because she has eczema issues. She already has a peanut allergy since birth. I can see it on her face that she's deficient in nutrition. But I'm her aunt, so we all know family dynamics, like things like that. But I told her, I said, when you get really sick, you'll come to me and I'll help. Or I might just slip her your website and let her explore on your own and contact you. But so, before we go into the strategies, just a couple minutes on, that is a reality of, a lot of parents are busy and they're working full time, and they're trying to raise kids and trying to take care of themselves, not having enough time, which we could do a whole nother podcast on that. But also trying to raise kids and raise them, with healthy recommendations or whatever, or options. But sometimes it's just exhausting because they're already exhausted. Do you have like a tip or two that you could share for a family?
It's such a coincidence you said that, because I didn't tell you, but yesterday I just launched a new program for moms.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so awesome.
It is.
Well, because most of our listeners are women.
Yeah.
And, they may have families, maybe not, but, they're either taking care of themselves or they're trying to take care of everybody else. That's in general our audience. So this is perfect.
No, it is.
Yes.
It is.
So we'll make sure we have a link to that.
Yeah. I'm not promoting on my social medias yet, just for my clients, because they were asking. So I wanted to create something like a small group, and after that, I'm going to promote it more on my social media. But the name of the program is Healthy Mom, Healthy Family.
Oh, well, perfect. This was not scripted. This was like...
No. I was like,
wow.
Man.
Oh, we're so in tune. We are so in tune. I love that.
But before talking about that, just explain a little bit why I created that, and also why I'm going to give you those tips.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned, I had all this journey until when I was 18, 19 years old, when I decided to study fashion, and I completely changed, my path. I wanted to be a nutritionist, and I decided to work with fashion and marketing, and then I worked with marketing forever.
Yeah, but it gave you a great background to launch your career as a health coach.
It gave a background, and I continued doing. So people that knew me always reached me for, can you give this recipe? Can you help me with this thing?
So health coaching was your side hustle.
I was, yes, yes. So fast forward, in 2014, I moved to US again. And now I got married. and my husband has 4 kids. So I moved to US with new life, with 4 kids in the house, and the kids live. They were with my husband, so we moved to a big house, and then we have 4 kids, and then suddenly I was, stepmom
Mm-hmm.
of four kids. Um, and I was when I moved to US, I was with my old business, which was marketing, as you know. Um, and then I got to that moment. It was like, I was 37. I get, yeah, 37, 38 years old. I'm 41 nowadays. So I was like, I'm almost 40. I moved to another country. I have a completely different life. In Rio, I was single and, living the life the way I wanted. And now I have a family. Even they're not my kids. There are 4 kids living,
Mm-hmm.
in the same house. And I'm not happy with what I'm doing professionally. I think I need to really do something that makes sense for me, because I love marketing, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to do something that makes sense for me, that I could really help someone with that. So I decided to connect with my old passions and see what I can do with it. And I found that my passion was always nutrition and wellness and all this story. So I was like, what am I going to do with that? I'm not going to go and try to be a nutritionist, because this is not what I wanted to be. I wanted to be something bigger than that.
Sure.
Not bigger, like more important, but bigger than like just talking about food.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I found out about health coaching. I found out about Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and then I decided to start, studying, but with no idea what I was going to do. When the first month of the course, I was like, wow, I already knew all that. Not because I knew, just because it was part of my
Yeah,
life.
it was part of your life. Uh-huh.
And I was already doing that with my friends and family. So I'm going to do that as my career, as my job. So it was when I decided to do. And also, I was implementing everything that I already knew, and I was learning new things in my house with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I decided to create this a new program, because what I figured out those last years working with women, a lot with women, when women, they want to change something in their lives, they don't wait like to the emergency moment, to really go and change. Rather than men, the men, they just wait and wait until they're completely like really sick. They can even walk
Yes.
to find help.
Yes.
But women, when they really want to change, they find help. They don't wait like men.
That's correct.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And another thing also that I figured out is when women change, when women has a family, kids, whatever, husband, when she changes, the environment changes.
Isn't that true? I mean, it's true about everyone. Like, we always try to change other people, but when we change ourselves, we do change the environment around
change
us.
the environment.
And the people start to shift. The dynamics change.
Even it was like, oh, I go in a patio and my kids are not. It doesn't matter. They're seeing, as an example, they're like, oh, what is that? Can I try it? There's always a change when a women change.
Mm-hmm.
So when I realized that, I was like, wow, it's so sad that we have like a huge increase in, we call it as like adults disease,
Mm-hmm.
which is not adults anymore. They're kids disease, like diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity. We are having these increasing year by year among kids, and it's insane. And they blame, we blame the school, we blame, the government, we blame everybody. But come on, do you realize how you eat? How is your, daily diet? How you deal with food emotionally? So when women change, the mom change, the kids will change.
Mm-hmm.
Because the kids, they mirror, they just
Totally.
like, oh, this is how my mom eats. So it doesn't matter, like, if you want your kids to eat broccoli, and then you don't eat broccoli, and you say, eat broccoli because it's really healthy. But in the kids' minds, like, my mom doesn't eat, so probably it's not good.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's
I
that.
love that example because it's so true.
It's so true. And then I had some clients that had the same issue. I had one client, she was really picky, really picky. Like, the picky person, they always have like excuse, like, I don't like that because of the texture. I don't like
Yeah.
that because of reminds me whatever. So she was really picky. It was a really like real hard work to make her try and just see how it goes. And she had a son. He was like 1 year old, and he was getting sick all the time. She took him to the doctors, took him to different physicians. Oh, he has to take this vitamin. Oh, he has to drink whatever. Oh, it doesn't matter because she was picky. And every time she was eating in front of him, she makes faces. You know, when you make faces like, So, and then she once in one of our sessions, she told me, I don't know why, but my son, he makes faces when he
It's
eats.
called psychoechoing. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
I was like, really? So we did some exercise to, for her to start paying attention to her actions and her emotions towards food, and see how her kid was mirroring the same thing. He was doing exactly the same thing. And when she finally understand that, and when she finally had the moment also like to sit with him and eat, because she wasn't doing that too. She was always running, and he put him in the chair and like, no, had the moment to eat and say, this is really good. Oh, this carrot's amazing. That's it. And that changes everything.
It also changes the dynamic between her and her son because
Completely.
she's giving him attention and teaching him how valuable it is, that time together socially and around food, which is what families have done forever, and we've somehow, it's just been dispersed.
So I think, like, you ask for 2 tips. I think one is that is, as a mom, as a woman, first pay attention how you're eating and how is your relationship with food. You have to change it first. Don't think that you're going to change someone else before you. You have to change first, and especially as a woman, because you're going to be the example. And the second, it's just have this moment to eat, like as with a family or together, as a sacred moment. Don't have TV, don't have anything else. If sometimes you miss something, there's something I have in my house, especially on Sundays, that we eat out together, is having some like soft music on the back, like the jazz, something soft. But besides that, to have this as a sacred moment to eat.
Great. Thank you for sharing. And what I'd love for you to, I'm so glad that worked out, because I had no idea that you were launching that program. But as we conversed, I was like, that's really a lot of the issues that come up and when people come in to see me, is that a lot of times, they aren't taking care of themselves, but they're also like, they're so busy and exhausted. So it's just those little things, those little moments that are so important. I wanted to make sure that we got to the strategies for everybody. I mean, you just gave a couple that are really great for anyone too. Because whether you're a mother or a father or a grandparent or whatever,
Or stepmom.
or stepmom, yeah, those strategies are completely applicable. But I promised our audience there would be 5 strategies that would be universal, and I want to dive into those before we finish. So your 5 strategies for getting started in nourishing your mind and body in a practical and easy way. We talked about these, and your first one, tell me a little bit more, was cook your own food.
Again, you mentioned something that it is one of the main issues to cook your own food. We are always so busy. I don't have time. I understand that, and I agree. I don't have time either. Nobody has time, it's crazy. I know. Okay, but it doesn't matter.
You have to
You
make it a
gotta find-
priority, right?
You have to make as a priority. You have to make your own food as much as you can.
Yeah.
If you can't make your own food, you make like 100% of your own food, 95, 90%. But you have to make your own food. And why? There's a lot of reasons, but the main reason is when you make your own food, you know what kind of ingredients you're using to prepare. When you go to some restaurants, and you know how I am. I love going to restaurants, good ones, farm to table, local, yeah. But when we go to restaurants, we don't know what kind of oil they use. And if I have to pick one thing, if it's possible, oil. It's really important. If they use bad oil, such as canola oil, corn, soy, forget it.
Yeah.
You know, it's inflammatory and it's really bad for you. So cooking your own food, at least you know what you're putting in your food.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's
I completely
the first
agree.
thing.
And plus, just like you were talking about with, parents and kids and things like that, if you're cooking, it's an experience, and if you involve your kids in that, or you involve your partner or something, you can make that your quality time together. And I think that's important. And even if you're alone, you're nourishing yourself.
Yes.
And making it part of your time together.
Yes.
Like, I know my dog and I eat at the same time because, of course, she tells me what time it is. But also, like, she naturally wants to eat when I'm eating. And there's something there, even because, this podcast is called Wild Wisdom. It's because our animals in our life mirror us too, just like our children. And so, she wants to be with me to eat. And I know it's not just her, because I've been around other dogs who do the same thing. They want to be in the kitchen and they want to be eating. So there's something social about that. So it's not just cooking your own food to nourish yourself, but the social and the other nourishment aspects.
Yeah, and you mentioned something really interesting, because even like moms with big families like mine, in my case, many times I cook by myself. I don't have like this amazing moment like let's go, let's make. But it doesn't matter. I'm using my hands. I'm using my love, and I'm putting that into food. And that reminds me again the books that I read when I was a teenager, talking about that. It is important when you, especially when you use your hands. Oh my, that makes a big difference.
It really does.
Oh yeah,
it really does.
Yeah.
So let's go through these strategies. Your second strategy is, talking about really getting in touch with that mind-body connection. So you want to explain that?
Yeah. So what I usually teach or explain to my clients is, I know it's hard because nobody wants to feel pain, any pain, physical, emotional. I know it's hard, but sometimes you have to connect with the pain. So, for example, you're having a headache. Before reaching any Tylenol or whatever medication, whatever painkiller, stop. Drink some water is always good too. It's a good way. Drink some water, but get a piece of paper, or even if you don't have, you can get your phone. You start just writing down why you're having this pain. Something happened the day before. Something happened today. What I ate, what happened to me, what kind of thought I had, just write down things that happened to yourself so you can, understand what is going on. Usually the pain will disappear.
I completely agree. As a yoga therapist, my primary clients come in with pain and trauma. So, and there's a huge correlation between the two. And so I completely agree. I'm glad that you address that as a health coach, because it's an underlying issue and it's something people need to pay attention to. And for all the listeners, I talk about this in my yoga therapy podcast, the first one, so you can reference and get more into the yoga therapy approach to all of this, because it's very similar. It's connecting the mind and body and going what I call the story underneath the story.
Yeah.
And what's really going on. And sometimes we we don't know. And so it's some education to kind of learn how to get that. But I love this exercise of just writing down.
Just write it down. And then it doesn't matter. You don't have to write like a poem or,
you just write whatever.
Whatever
without
is
being
coming.
edited by your cognitive mind,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. And so tell me about, your third strategy is meditation, which I'm a huge proponent.
Yeah. And again, I'm also a big fan of keep simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to meditate. I don't have patience for that. Okay, you don't need to spend 1 hour. You can do 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, 5 minutes works. It works.
It works. It works.
It works.
Totally does.
5 minutes. But I don't know how. Everybody knows. Sit in a comfortable place, in a comfortable position, close your eyes, do some breathing. You're already meditating.
Yeah, and it can be simple. It's so simple. And then there are tons of apps and everything. And, you can, there's tons of things out there and tons of different ways to meditate. But yes, it can be so simple as 5 minutes of quiet time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of moms do that in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, whatever you have to do, or in the car, things like that. Yeah. So, but it's true.
But you said something really interesting, a quiet time. Mm-hmm. If we change meditation equals to quiet time, I think it's easier. Yeah. For somebody that comes with all these excuses. I don't like it. I don't know how. I don't want to be that. Oh my God, this is spiritual or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, it's a quiet time. Quiet time.
Yeah, so it's like time out in the corner.
Yeah.
Quiet time.
Quiet time, 5 minutes.
Perfect. Even in the bathroom.
Even in the bathroom.
So tell me your fourth strategy.
Okay. The fourth one is move your body. And then again, I don't have time. I don't like going to the gym. Okay. Move your body. Don't come with an excuse. Move your body. You have a table in your house or couch. Go around the table or the couch.
Exactly.
If there's a bad weather. If it's a beautiful weather, go outside and just walk.
Yes. I thought about your strategy today when I let my dog out this morning, and I have steps. So I love being with horses, that, and to work on getting up on a horse and getting out is actually strong feet and legs. And so I just was like, while she was going to the bathroom, just went on the steps and did, I don't even know what to call them, but like on one leg balance, kind of half squat sort of thing. I was like, this is my movement because I have a busy day today and I didn't wake up early enough to get anything else in. I'm like, I'm just going to do this while she goes to the bathroom. And, I probably I did like 2 sets of 10 on each leg, mm-hmm. and was perfect.
No, we have to, stop creating difficulty when it comes to exercise. Mm-hmm. I exercise every day. And I was like, wow, you're a fitness girl. No, I exercise every day, any kind of exercise. Mm-hmm. Today, before coming here, I did 11 minutes of a YouTube workout. Mm-hmm. This is a girl that I love her. Just walking and do some movement. That's it. I feel so refreshed. I feel so ready to go. Just do some movement.
Well, that's sometimes all I have time for as well. I love YouTube for that. I'll do 10 minutes Pilates, or I'll do some yoga on my own. And even when I'm not in the mood, I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I had worked 12 hours yesterday, because that happens still. And I'm like, just 10 minutes. And I'll literally set the alarm, just 10 minutes. And then, of course, you end up doing a little more. But it's just enough to make you feel better. And so I think everybody has this idea, because we're always pumped with information. You have to do it this way. You have to spend 30 minutes every day and stuff like that. Yeah, it's ideal. We'd love to. But there are simply days where we just can't fit that in. So as long as you're nourishing your body by doing something and integrating it in your daily routine somehow.
And like you mentioned, can be anything. And you don't have only okay, so I'm just going to walk. You can walk and do yoga. You can
just move.
Just move. Do any movement with your body.
Yeah.
And also, especially women.
Yes.
I talked to a friend of mine. She's a cardiologist. I talked to her 2 years ago about that. And then she told me something that it makes completely sense. Nobody talks about, and that, nobody talks about women's heart.
Yes.
We always think it's a man's thing.
Mm-hmm.
And women, are dying because of heart problems.
Yeah.
Like a lot. And one of the things that help a lot is exercising.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me women needs to do at least 20 minutes some cardio movement, like 3-4 times a week.
Yeah.
So, and just like walking is already an exercise, a cardio one. So we need it. As a woman, we need to exercise. So don't find excuse. It's easy and simple.
Yeah, just you have to make it a priority.
Yeah.
And we know it's all tied to our emotions and how we feel about ourselves, which there'll be other podcasts about going deeper into that. But you have to make yourself a priority, and that's what I say. So tell me your final strategy.
So the last one is about water. It's another simple one, and it's another not information that everybody knows, but nobody really go and do it. Drink water. Have your water bottle. I have one here with me. Have your water bottle with you all the time, but please never plastic. Please, even the BPA free. Don't go plastic.
And there's some great glass water bottles out there that
amazing.
I have one at home. I didn't bring it today, so don't tell anybody. But yes, I think that's important.
But have a water bottle with you. And why is that? Because first, you're not using cup, right? So you're helping the world with less cup, less plastic. And there's always a way to remind you, oh, I have to drink. Because it is normal, and even for me, being healthy or anything, sometimes we forget. Mm-hmm. If I don't have the water there, since I drink out, I'm really hydrated, I don't feel like, I need to drink. But we have to put something in front of us to remind us. So have a water bottle with you. But if you want an extra thing, put some a pinch of salt. Mm-hmm. If you want some measurement, you can use the what is the name? The little spoon. I forgot
teaspoon.
The teaspoon.
Mm-hmm.
The teaspoon. You can use half teaspoon in a water bottle, a big one. Mm-hmm. But please use a good salt, a whole salt, Himalayan salt, Celtic salt, sea salt, not the table salt.
Yeah, not the iodized table salt.
No. You want some salt with all the minerals and everything.
Yeah, not the, we took the minerals out and then we put some iodine in it because we thought everybody needed that. Yeah. So some good salts.
Good salts. So if you want, you put a pinch of that or half of the teaspoon in a water bottle and drink throughout the day. That will help you first of everything with your digestion. Mm-hmm. And when it helps you with your digestion, guess what? You have more energy. You feel like, whoo, I can do everything. And then we have all the other benefits that come with that. Helps balancing your hormones, help lose weight, and so on and so on.
Yeah, I mean, good digestion does help with everything. Yeah. It's amazing when we're either not ingesting the right things, or even if our digestive system is not functioning properly, and then we're not absorbing the nutrients, and how it affects the entire body. Yeah. And so that easy step of water with some salt, get enough water, hydration, that kind of thing is crucial. Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing these 5 steps, plus the others about just being a mom and family, because I think it's really helpful. And it gets so overwhelming for people when they're bombarded by all the information out there. You read a different magazine, and then a different doctor or a different celebrity health guru or whatever says this or that. And, we've talked before about bioindividuality, and everybody is different and needs something different. But there are some general principles that everyone can start with, and know that, you can't just overhaul your life and what you've been doing for years in one day, that it takes some time. So are there any final thoughts, you want to share with the audience? You talked about you have a capacity for healing.
Yeah. This is something that I always like to talk about it. I talked about on my social medias many times too. You are your best doctor. And I'm not saying that you don't have to go to a doctor.
No, you still have to go to your physician.
I'm not against physicians
for
anything.
checkups and stuff. But I agree.
But you are your best doctor. And why is that? Because you are the one that has the power to listen to what your body's telling you. You have the power to understand what is going on in your life. And with all this information, when you need to go to a doctor or physician, you just go and, hey, this is what I've been feeling. This is what is happening to me. This is, and then you guys together can make the connections to understand what is going on if you need to know more. But you are your best doctor.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when you cultivate that awareness of what's going on in yourself, then you know, and you can collaborate better with whether a health coach or yoga therapist or your healthcare providers, or all of them, because then you know what's going on. Otherwise, you're just maybe listing some symptoms and they're trying to put the pieces together.
And it's good that you said that, because also when I say you're your best doctor, I'm not saying that. The example again with the headaches. I'm having headaches. Okay, I'm the best doctor. I'm going to take a medication. No, it's not that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I'm having a headache. What is going on with my body? I'm not going to just shut the symptom.
Yes.
With a medication, because I'm losing the opportunity to understand what is going on inside of me.
Well, and that goes with my whole premise is, and you know why I even created this podcast in the first place, and a lot of what I do is you listen to your body. Your body tells you. It has a language. Language is pain. And it will whisper to you, little headache, and then it will scream at you, like a super illness or something. But it's your body trying to tell you something's going on, whether it's something that happened, like you mentioned earlier, whether it's, emotional related, or, you really got injured, or, the food you're eating is not good and your digestion's off. It's trying to tell you something. And the more we pay attention, that's that whole mind-body integration, the more that we can become our best doctor and our own healer, and know what's going on when that headache comes up.
Yeah.
So that we're not just putting the symptom to bed. We're actually going, wait a minute. Oh, I ate this last night. Or, okay, I guess my body doesn't like that. Or this time of the month, my body doesn't like that. And or we're like, oh yeah, I stayed up or I couldn't sleep. That's why I'm foggy today, or something like that. And I think it's important to know that. And always, and I'm glad you reiterated, it's not that we want to, it's always a fine balance. The middle path of everything is that you're not just shutting down, well, I'm never going to a doctor again, I'm sick of Western medicine. It's not that at all. It's that you're taking all these approaches and taking care of your own healing first, and being responsible for your own healing. And then when it goes beyond your knowledge, then you get an expert. Mm-hmm. A physician, a health coach, yoga therapist, whatever, there's all kinds of people out there, which this is why the podcast is here, so let people know, who's out there and who can help. But then you go there for something else. But then, what they recommend, what does that feel right for you? Because if you're listening to your body will tell you, well, I'm not ready for that surgery or that medication. Or yes, that seems like it might be the right thing for me. And, or, but there's a fine balance and a middle way for all of that. Yeah. So, well, I appreciate you being on. Thank you. Being my guest today. I know my listeners will value your story and these 5 simple strategies to begin nourishing the body and the mind, as well as, and we'll include links to your website, so that we'll have information about your upcoming program and even the 10-day detox challenge, and the free gift that they can download on your website. So, don't forget, this episode is sponsored by our upcoming Wild Wisdom Retreat in Mexico this November. So if you're ready to connect with the wisdom of your heart and the natural rhythms of nature, especially the ocean and horses, I mean, you gotta love those. Join me and Rita this November 7th through 12th for a yoga and meditation retreat exclusively for women on the Baja Peninsula in Mexico. So go to alysaphinnig.com/Mexico to learn more and sign up. And one final thing, if you are subscribed to my podcast, awesome. I'm so excited. You are in store for so many things. And if you're not, I encourage you to do so today. You're the first to hear when the next one is live. I offer these weekly. Take a few seconds, hit the subscribe button on your phone now, or go to alyssafinnig.com/podcast and make sure you get on the email list to get notified when a new episode is available. I cannot wait to see you again, same time, same place next week. Wild blessings.